Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back here with another video, and today I'm here with PedroTech, which is another YouTuber, and we're going to be both reviewing some resumes that you guys sent to us. So, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm also a student at the University of British Columbia with Pedro, and I am going to intern at Amazon. I interned at a couple different companies before as well, notably SAP. And yeah,
So you can see he's quite experienced, so I feel like the information we're both going to give to you, it will be very valuable. So with that in mind, if you guys could leave a like and subscribe before we get into this video, I would massively appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into the video. Okay everyone, so let's just get right into the video. We're also going to be blurring the names and all the personal information stuff because we didn't get a confirmation if we could use that stuff. So for privacy reasons, we won't be displaying that kind of stuff. But the first resume we have over here is by someone who went to the University of Toronto, the St. George campus. It has a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, a really nice GPA.
yeah, I really like this resume. Like the template and the styling is very good. It's really easy to read so that's like really good. What I would say is like there isn't any personal projects, which is really important. Even if you're full-time, even if you're experienced, having that personal project really shows that you can build stuff end to end, and not just like, contribute some pull requests every now and then, but actually build something out fully. And so I would, recommend him to add some personal projects and take out if there's no space, then take out like really old internships, like those from 2019, like the NextJ Health and Scotiabank Global Payments. Like these points are impressive, but like compared to the other ones, they're not that impressive. Like, creating RESTful APIs, obviously you have to do that in many different like internships as well. So definitely, taking that out and adding some personal projects could be really helpful.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I always stress this out a lot. Personal projects is probably one of the most important things in your resume, especially if you're early on in your career, which it seems like this person is because they were interning like less than 2 years ago. So I would definitely say that adding some sort of like really nice personal project, showing that you work outside of your job, that you're constantly trying to learn on your own, will definitely add a lot of value to the resume. Another point, and this is kind of like more styling related, I really didn't like the fact that the programming, the skills that they add, some of them are bold and some aren't. I get that they're trying to point out which one are the most important ones. However, like in my opinion, I didn't really like it.
Another points that I want to bring up is that his most recent and probably the most prestigious experience, which is at Riot Games, League of Legends, he only has 1 point, right? Compared to his other experiences, which has 3 to 4 points. And so it's more important that you add more points in your most recent experience and probably, your most prestigious experience. And so definitely doing that is a plus.
On a good note, I do think they had a lot of experience, which is amazing. It's hard to get that much experience in the early stages of your career. They also seem very well diverse with all the different programming languages they have. I also see that they're using some of the most common resume hacks. For example, all the bullet points that they have start with an action based word. They definitely try to keep it short, keep it into one page, which is really good. Some of the bullet points on the later on projects, like Philip said, are pretty long, and no one really is going to read that unless you get to the later stages of the interview process. So I'll try to keep it short, try to use as many keywords as I can, just to improve the chances of getting into that next stage and actually getting interviewed by a real person. Yeah, so that basically was the first resume. It is a pretty good resume. We can rate them, right? I would say it's a 7 out of 10. That's a pretty good rating in my opinion.
I would give 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. We just had that little tips that we could give, so you can definitely improve it. So yeah, let's go into the next resume.
Okay, so the new resume that we're looking at, the second resume, he is a full stack developer. He has some pretty good experience, I would say. Like, he was a developer for some forks trading company. That's really impressive. Good internships, I would say. But it honestly is very confusing and hard to read because it looks like a timeline. This like line in between and then like points coming out from it, which looks like a timeline, but it's not a timeline because as you can see, like the contact is like at the top of the timeline, and then there's like relevant skills in the middle like of the timeline. So it definitely isn't a timeline, but it looks like a timeline, and so it's very confusing to read and hard to read. So I don't personally really like this resume.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. A thing that I also saw right here is that for the project section, they basically didn't explain the project at all. So they only listed out the link for the project and like some of the skills, which is pretty good. You should always list the skills because the more keywords, the better. However, I have no idea what the project is. I need to infer that based on the name, which isn't really what you want in your resume. You don't want people to be confused, which is already something that he mentioned. The layout is pretty confusing. I would say the education part is pretty nice. Another thing I would say is that they have a summary section where they have a small paragraph explaining like who they are and actually using actual sentence to describe their experience, which in my opinion isn't really good because like a recruiter will basically read this and look at this resume for less than 30 seconds. So they really don't have time to read a summary of your resume. Why would you give a summary of a resume if your resume isn't the same page? They can just look at it and create the summary on their own. I would say the experience looks nice. You definitely put a bunch of bullet points, have some good experience. I personally don't know the companies. However, they look like companies that use really modern technologies. So that's pretty nice. And it definitely shows that you have the ability to work in the industry. However, if you just fix all of the things that we mentioned, specifically the layout, I feel like you can definitely improve this. I would give it probably a 5 out of 10.
I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah. Like it can definitely be improved. But right now we kind of have that issues. So just work on it a little bit and it can definitely get a lot better. Okay, so this is the third resume. It is from someone who has some professional experience, studied at faith colleges. They have some personal projects and yeah.
Yeah, I really like this resume. The layout is perfect. Like I can read it so well. Everything like it flows very well. I like it's nothing is too crowded or too scrambled. But like another thing I would say is well there's a summary, which obviously we said like try not to do that. Your resume should speak for itself, but having one sentence summary, I guess like it's fine. What I would say is another thing I would say is like the professional experience. Your company should be bolded and should be in a separate line from your position. The reason why is the company is like basically sometimes more important than your position, because your position, like it's most likely going to be software engineer, right? Every kind of resume we're looking at software engineer, but the company is what differentiates you. Like he worked at Oracle, right? Oracle is a very prestigious company. You want to show that to the recruiter, and when you submit your resume and it goes to the scanner, you want to show that like it filters out the company name so that like it captures the prestigious company and stuff like that. And so that's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Upward is also a really good company, so they definitely have some really good experience and will make them stand out by a lot. I also wanted to point out they did a really good job with their keywords. The skills section is divided pretty nicely, doesn't take up a lot of space, but at the same time gives the recruiter all of the information they need about the skills that they know. Some of the skills I would remove, Netlify and Heroku and even WordPress, because they really aren't stuff that I see a lot of people like looking for. WordPress sometimes, but like Heroku and Netlify are mostly used for solo developers trying to create their own projects. So a job usually won't require you to know that. Other than that, I see all of the other skills are pretty nice. I like that they found a little space to add a certification that probably is really hard to get. I would remove the other interests. I made this mistake once. I added like I don't know, soccer, or I added skating to my resume, it really adds nothing to it, especially with the competitive nature of software development. I would say that it isn't really something that you should waste space in your resume by adding. A point that I want to make here is that I have a strong feeling that this person used latex to create their resume. I might be wrong, however, either way, I'll just point this out so that people who use latex can know this. I used latex for one of my resumes in the past, and I transitioned out of it because latex is really bad for resume scanners. Every like bot that I tried using to scan my resume would always fail to get the correct information from my resumes that were made with latex, and would do really well with just normal resumes. And the issue with that is that latex resumes looks amazing. We can all agree that this is probably one of the best looking resumes we've seen so far, and it looks very similar to the one that I had. That's why I feel like it's latex. However, as we mentioned, most of the times the resumes go through a first step, which is the bot scanning, and they really won't like choose your resume to go through a recruiter scanning if you don't have the correct keywords and if the bot doesn't correctly scan your resume. So I feel like it's a double-edged sword. Like if you have this right now and if you use latex, it might help you because it looks good. However, for that to occur, you really need to be sure that it will be read by a human, which most of the times it isn't the case. So I would definitely recommend staying out of latex because it really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it looks like amazing. So after the resume screening, then this doesn't really matter. You could use latex. However, most of the times, make sure that it passes through the first step, or else you won't even get to the next step. So that's just an advice that I would give. But other than that, do you have any other things to say?
I think one bonus thing, which is very minor, but like I like it, is the QR code for the web portfolio, and I tried it and it actually works. And it goes to their personal website, and you can like check out like all the different stuff about them, which I love. I think it will like really capture a recruiter's eye. But yeah, I like this resume. Yeah, and if you guys are looking for personal projects to do on your resume, if you don't have any, PedroTech's videos are like the best one out there. So
thank you.
So for this, I would say I'll give like 9 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, actually, I'll agree with you. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I won't give you a 10 out of 10 because honestly, in my opinion, it's very hard to encounter a 10 out of 10 resume.
So this is the next resume. Yeah, it does not look very well. I don't know. It's very old-fashioned, it seems like. It looks like I'm looking at a website in the 80s.
I definitely agree. The styling is the first thing that we notice. It doesn't look really nice. By the way, we're not trying to be harsh. We're just trying to give our honest opinion. This over here definitely doesn't stand out. It actually stands out in a negative way. I feel like the color palette isn't good. If you're gonna use color palettes, then try to keep it into a nice one. I feel like the gray part specifically it doesn't look that good. I would also say that the professional summary part at the top is again something that I wouldn't do. The fonts for that part is different from the other fonts, which I find gives a bad contrast. Although I really like the skills part because it definitely highlights like good like modern skills like Tailwind, CSS, JavaScript, Node, React. All of that is really good. So I would say that that's a good part of this. The rest, I would say, definitely doesn't look that good.
Yeah, another thing I want to mention is that the entire section of the education is bolded. You definitely don't want to bold everything. You want to bold things that are really, really important. Especially your primary school, 2004 to 2010. I doubt any recruiter would really like look for that, or even your secondary school. The only thing that really matters is honestly your university, and that's what like the recruiters are looking for. You also have like personal highlights, which is all bolded, but I would personally replace that with personal projects instead, because personal projects is what you want to use to showcase your technical skills and you know, different type of technologies. And so personal highlights is not that as important as your technical skills in the software engineering industry. So I'll definitely change that.
Yeah, that's something I see a lot with many different resumes, putting like that you're a fast learner, an independent worker, all that kind of stuff. Although you might be, and I'm not saying you aren't, because you definitely are. If you know all those skills, you definitely worked really hard. Anyone can just say that. When you're reading a resume, you really want to prove that you are good without having to say that you're good. So, for example, showing the projects would be a good way of doing that, because obviously no one would put on their resume that they're not a fast learner or that they are not motivated by problem solving. Like, that is already expected when you're hired as a software engineer. So I feel like if you add those stuff, it's just taking up a very big unnecessary space that you could add your personal projects. I do agree with what Philip said about the education section, not over bolding stuff, because then it kind of penalizes the point of bolding. You only want to bold stuff that are like a very specific amount of stuff, because those are the most important stuff. Work experience seems really nice. I would add more bullet points, like you said that you gain knowledge on software developer. The English on that is kind of not correct completely, so I would definitely check that out. However, I would also add more bullet points, because just gaining knowledge as a programmer is already expected from a web developer trainee program. So I would add specific things that you learned and that will that you actually gain throughout the process, especially because you have a lot of space. So I would definitely add that, and it would push your resume to a lot more companies. Last thing I would say is, again, remove the hobbies part. A company really doesn't care that much if you cook or not. That's just something that I honestly feel like a lot of people do, and I did that in the past, and that's why I'm saying that this shouldn't really be in your resume. I can see that you are from Nigeria, so I don't know if it is common there to list out a lot of your personal information. However, I would remove all of the stuff that we're blurring right now. There's a huge portion of the resume which puts their address, their like local government, a bunch of stuff, which I don't know if it's really relevant. So that's something that I would definitely take a look at.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to mention that we're looking at this in the perspective of like US and Canada, right? Those are the companies that we apply to and work for. And so, if you come from a different part of the world and the standards and the templates and what recruiters look for is different there, then definitely do what makes sense for your country, and take our advice with like a bit of grain of salt, because we don't know the perspective of someone all across the world, and so yeah, do keep that in mind. So the rating I would give for this particular resume, again, like, you definitely can improve it, and this is not the end all be all. So I would give a rating of 2 out of 10, because there are definitely a lot of ways to improve it, and but there are some good stuff, like the skills highlighted is very good. Yeah, what would you?
Yeah, I would give it a 3 out of 10, just because of the skills portion. It is one of the most important parts of your resume, and you definitely seem like someone who knows a lot of programming. You learned a lot of really good technologies that takes a lot of work and hard work in itself to learn. So you're definitely a really good programmer. However, I feel like you should demonstrate that better in your resume. So we're not trying to be harsh, we're just trying to help you improve your resume. So that's definitely some of the advices that we would give. So yeah, this were the resumes we were able to review. Obviously, we weren't able to review all of the resumes we received, so I apologize if we weren't able to get to your resume. We tried to not really look at the resumes before making the video. We had to look at some of them just to make sure we're not recording resumes that, I don't know, include like some not wanted stuff. But yeah, that was the video. All the advice we give to you guys is based on our experience, so keep that in mind. I hope this video was valuable for you guys. I really appreciate Philip for recording this video with me. He has a lot of experience, as I mentioned, so it was good to get his opinions on this stuff. So yeah, do you want to say something?
Yeah, subscribe to my channel. I make videos on like how to get internships, tips and tricks on the software engineering industry, stuff like that. And yeah, I am a Amazon intern, SAP intern, software engineer, and yeah,
Yeah, check his videos out. He does have a video with me where we go over like my internship experience at Twitch. So if you're interested in checking that out, just go to his channel. It's gonna be linked in the description. So yeah, that's basically it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below and comment what you want to see next. Subscribe because I'm posting 2 times a week, and I would massively appreciate if you guys could support the channel. And yeah, that's basically it. Really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I see you guys next time.